Game of Thrones has taken the world by storm and ends its run as one of the most popular television shows of all time. While it's a work of fiction, some of the events that inspired it are very real. One of them is a tale from 15th century England. This is a chronicle where the ink of ambition runs thicker than blood, a tale unfolded that would etch its mark on the fabric of time. This is the story of the Wars of the Roses. This was a series of civil wars in England between the rival houses of Lancaster and York. The conflict was marked by political intrigue, shifting allegiances, and jaw-dropping incidents. The roots of actual conflict were planted with the passing of King Edward III in 1377. Edward's eldest son had died before him, leading to the 10-year-old Richard II ascending the throne. This leap over an entire generation sparked lingering claims to the throne, notably among the offspring of Edward's third son, giving rise to the Lancasters and those of his fourth son, forming the Yorks. The ensuing wars derived their name from the familial symbols, the white rosy of York and the red rose of Lancaster. This floral symbolism became a lasting legacy of the conflict. The Lancasters seized power when Richard II was deposed by his cousin Henry IV. Despite occasional unrest, their rule remained stable until 1422, marked by the death of Henry V during a military campaign, leaving an infant Henry VI as the king. Weak-willed and influenced by advisors, Henry VI was persuaded to marry Margaret of Anjou for French support. Margaret, a woman of beauty and ambition, proved ruthless in securing her power, harboring particular distrust for Richard of York. Once a close advisor and loyal general, York found himself sidelined by the Queen, who favored her supporters, including the Earls of Suffolk and Somerset. York's criticism of their handling of the war against France led to his exclusion and transfer to Ireland. Amid military failures and corrupt rule, Richard of York returned to arrest Somerset and reform the court. Though initially unsuccessful, he seized an opportunity when appointed protector of the realm after Henry's mental breakdown. However, Henry's sudden recovery, influenced by the Queen, led to the reversal of York's reforms. Fleeing, York raised an army once more. While unable to directly claim the throne, he was reinstated as protector, with his heirs designated to succeed Henry. In a tragic turn, York met his demise in battle, his head impaled on a pike by the Queen's loyalists. His son, Edward IV, took up the claim and assumed the crown. Following his father's death, Edward IV sought to consolidate his claim to the throne. This led to the Battle of Towton on March 29, 1461. The battle, fought near Towton in North Yorkshire, was the largest and bloodiest of the Wars of the Roses. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Yorkist forces, under the command of Edward IV and the Earl of Warwick, achieved a decisive victory. The battle was fought in blizzard conditions, and the arrival of fresh troops under the Duke of Norfolk turned the tide in favor of the Yorkists. The Lancastrians suffered heavy losses, with many killed during the battle and in the executions that followed. This decisive Yorkist victory led to the exile of Margaret of Anjou and secured Edward IV's rule. After the Battle of Towton, the retreating Lancastrian forces were relentlessly pursued. The fleeing soldiers faced a massacre, and the nearby River Cockbeck reportedly ran red with blood. However, Edward's political misstep, reneging on an arranged marriage to a French princess in favor of a secret union with a minor noble's widow, alienated his powerful ally, the Earl of Warwick. Warwick allied with the Lancasters, turning Edward's jealous brother George against him. In a brief period, Warwick restored Henry as king, but Edward recaptured the throne. The Lancaster prince fell in battle, and Henry died in captivity not long after. There was a peaceful period during the remainder of Edward IV's reign. But upon his death in 1483, the kingdom plunged once more into chaos. Despite the rightful succession of his 12-year-old son, Edward, the younger brother, Richard III, disputed their legitimacy, citing their father's secret marriage. Taking control as regent, Richard imprisoned the young prince. Richard's authority seemed unassailable, yet his downfall materialized merely 2 years later, originating from across the narrow expanse of the English Channel. Henry Tudor, a direct descendant of the first Duke of Lancaster, had spent years in exile following his father's demise in a prior rebellion. Exploiting the discord within the York faction caused by Richard III's power grab, Henry garnered support for his royal claim. In 1485, he assembled an army in France, crossed the Channel, and the Battle of Bosworth Field beckoned. He decisively defeated Richard's forces. Solidifying his reign, Henry accomplished a symbolic union by marrying Elizabeth of York, the elder sister of the banished princes, thus merging the white and red roses and ultimately concluding nearly a century of conflict.